Hello. Sorry that the first thing came out of my mouth was a cough. Just that time once again for the cold season. But anyway, welcome. I hope you don't have a cold, and I hope you're having a good week. Here we are for our devotional. It is Proverbs chapter 8, verse 14 today that we're looking at. Proverbs chapter 8, verse 14. In Proverbs, as we've been working our way down through this book, in chapter 8, there's an image given to us of wisdom, as if wisdom were a person, in this case a woman, calling out to us and saying all these things about who she is, so that we understand what wisdom is. The chapter 8 of Proverbs very much is a chapter that's helping us understand and define wisdom in many ways. So that's what's kind of going on. We get to verse 14, and she says this about herself. She says, "Counsel is mine, and sound wisdom." Now, she is wisdom, so she's saying it's sound wisdom. "And I am understanding. Power is mine." So I'll read it again because I interrupted it. So here we go. "Counsel is mine, and sound wisdom. I am understanding. Power is mine." Now, what she's talking about there, counsel is mine and sound wisdom is mine. What she's kind of saying there is like reliable. Like, this is real. This is good wisdom. It's true wisdom. And if you listen to me, you're gonna get the help you need, right, from this wisdom. "I am understanding, and power is mine." When it talks about the power part in particular, that's what I want to kind of focus on in today's devotionals, is that idea of the power of wisdom. And by power, we can think of it as you might want to say effectiveness, the ability to achieve certain goals. And wisdom says that the power to do that of effectiveness comes from her. Now, of course, everybody wants to be effective. It's actually one of the sources of burnout in our world. Well, it's the source of burnout in our world. When people get tired at their job, that's one thing. But when they really burn out at their job, it's usually because there's a sense of frustration in not being able to affect whatever, not being able to cause the outcome, or to affect the change you want, or to feel that you've been effective. And we need to feel effective in the world. If we feel completely ineffective in the world, it's actually hugely depressing. It's a real problem. So we all want it, but we don't all know how to get it. And as we grow up as little children, we experiment with all types of different ways of getting what we want and being effective. And we try everything from screaming to temper tantrums to pouting to you name it. And one of the jobs of parents is to help us learn that those all don't work. I mean, they may work in a sort of way, but they really don't work in the true and good way. They're more of a fool's approach to power. And if people learn that, then they never kind of grow out of it. And to some degree it can work, but eventually it comes falling down. Real effectiveness, real power comes from true wisdom. And true wisdom, as presented in the Bible, godly wisdom, that kind of wisdom. And so what she's saying to you is that if you learn her wisdom, if you have this relationship with wisdom, where you learn counsel and sound wisdom, good, truly good wisdom, that will give you understanding, which is power, right? You will know what to do. You'll know how to live. You'll know the decisions you need to make, and they will be effective because of that. They will be able to do things. You will have power. You will increase your influence and your abilities. You will increase your potential. I mean, in every way, it's a powerful thing. Not it shouldn't be thought of as power in the kind of like the evil villain way of, now I will take over the world kind of thing, but as that effectiveness idea, is that you can increase your ability to your agency and your ability to be effective in what you attempt to do in life. But it's got to be proper wisdom. And so this is the thing: if we have proper godly wisdom, then it enables you to make truly good decisions, because it's divine in nature. And so God teaches us how to make truly good decisions, not just decisions that I like. Sometimes it's very costly and hard. It requires self-discipline, but that grows your strength and grows your ability, because you make decisions that really are good, and thus they have the blessing of God, and they result in better things. It protects against bias and corruption. That's not to say it protects protects you from having other people become biased and corrupt, but it protects you from becoming biased and corrupt, where you simply look out for yourself. Bias is really just only seeing my own wants and desires, right? But godly wisdom, I look to him as my bar, my guide into a self-denial that's healthy and good. And the corruption that comes from sin, well, godly wisdom prevents that, because you learn to put aside and not walk the paths of sin, but rather walk the paths of righteousness. And so it keeps you from corruption. It keeps you from those things that the world's wisdom is just riddled with. There's so much of these things: bad decisions, huge bias and selfishness, and massive corruption. And to use a kind of a military term, but I think it kind of applies here, godly wisdom is kind of like a force multiplier. And what a force multiplier in military terms, a force multiplier is, it's something that affects the power of everything in the force and increases it, multiplies it, rather than adding to it. So you might have 5 troops, and you could add 5 more troops, or you could give them all a better gun, and that would multiply their effectiveness and make them like 10 troops. And so that's the idea. It's like that kind of very simplistic, but that's the idea. And in a way, that's what God's wisdom is like that. It's like whatever little bit of power and influence and stuff you have in life, through godly wisdom, he allows and enables, and just the simple logic of his wisdom enables you to be even more effective than you should be, because it multiplies the outcome, partly because it's just so good at dealing with reality, and partly because God is behind it and he backs it up. And so when you follow God's wisdom, you get a true grasp of reality, which multiplies your force, and you get God's backing, which multiplies your force. And so really having a relationship with the godly wisdom, it's incredibly powerful. So now remember, wisdom is not just problem solving skills. Wisdom is it's not just also, it's very much moral. And so God's wisdom is about not just being shrewd to figure out which thing to put where, but it's about why do you put which thing where. It's the moral code that you live by. And if you live by a good and solid moral code, well, once again, you make truly good decisions. You will reduce your personal self-righteous bias, and you will counter corruption within your life naturally. And thus, your effectiveness in life is multiplied. And so it's very, very powerful. Godly wisdom learned, godly wisdom applied, creates very powerful people. Not in the world's way, but as far as effective people. They can be very humble, may never actually rule a country or something, but very effective in the world that they live in the circles they're in, and the people that rely on them, and the people that they interact with. Their relationships are more effective. Their working environment is more effective. Everything is more effective because God's wisdom has that effect, and it has a way of bringing power to your life. Anyway, there you go. That's why I guess, just to end with this today, that's why our study of the book of Proverbs is not just a study about how to make wise decisions. It's a study about how to be a wise person in the eyes of God. So I keep saying godly wisdom, because the world has its version, but it really doesn't have the good effect. It leads to death, destruction, corruption, and so on. It ultimately fails. But godly wisdom, where the fear of God starts it all off, that brings power, and a good power. And so anyway, there it is. God bless you. Have a good day. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow with verse 15. Take care.